This video will cover the Net Promoter Score, which measures the willingness of consumers to recommend a brand, product, or service. So there are many ways we can graphically represent the NPS in a dashboard. And obviously we can also apply filters for variables such as gender and age. But firstly, to add a question of this type to a questionnaire, I go on to IQ3, and in the top left I click on Insert a Question, Scaled Questions, and select Net Promoter Score. And this is the question I have for my tourism survey. Now back on DataViv, I have this page with filters on the left, and I take the Net Promoter Score variable, which is 36 in this case. By default, it's displayed as a gauge chart, and the NPS ranges from -100 to +100, where a higher score is desirable. Alternatively, I can swap it for a value indicator. I can edit the text above or remove it altogether, and add or remove a trend line. Now if I resize this, make it smaller, and leave it here on the side, I can duplicate this, and I'm going to change the value from Net Promoter Score to percentage of, where I can select promoters, passives, or detractors. And if I click on this smiley face, I get the percentage for each category. If I choose a pie chart and cross-analyze this with date of arrival, for instance, I get this column chart for 2018 to 2021, which I can change for a spline chart. And I can swap the NPS value for the percentage, and I click on these arrows to swap variables, and that flips the axis. Inserting the legend below allows people to filter this chart, and for me, I want to divide years into semesters, so I group into classes, select semesters/years, and now we can see the trend over time. Just to simplify this a bit, I can go to Advanced Settings and deactivate Statistical Tests. Now I'm going to resize this, and copying this chart, I could present a similar one but displaying the NPS value instead of the percentage. Now with a variable such as customer effort score 34, dragging it onto the screen creates a column chart by default. So instead of this, I delete this and go to Advanced Analysis, click on Net Promoter Score, and select this variable, change the acronym. There's also an option to rename these categories and move scores into different categories. We now have this gauge chart, and to obtain a graph like this one above, I can drag date of arrival onto the screen, and now select both these two, right click and cross. Then I remove the table and insert a chart, and I can change this to a spline chart once again. And I can split the years into quarters. Now let's take a look at the variables for country of origin and date of arrival. So 17, and I change years to months, and I cross-analyze this with country, so I can swap this column chart for a spline chart. Once again, click on the arrows to flip the axis, and I can now see the percentage of responses for each month of the year, and I can customize the colors over here, enable the legend so you can filter by country. Another way of presenting NPS values is on a map divided into regions. So I can take variable 43 department, which transforms into this bar graph with the response rate for different departments in France. And I'm going to change this to dynamic color sets. So I click on geographical map, and there are many other maps to choose from as well, depending on the data you have. Not just for France, but European maps, world maps, maps for different countries, and then we can split this into regions or departments more specifically. Then I cross-analyze this with Net Promoter Score, change the color scheme to make it more dynamic, with green indicating a higher score and red denoting a lower score. I can also cross-analyze type of accommodation with Net Promoter Score, change the graph type, remove statistical tests. Another thing I can do is allow people viewing the dashboard to compare NPS in each department. To do this, I go to Advanced Analysis, select Comparative Analysis. So I insert the comparison filters in the columns, adding department twice so that two departments can be compared side by side, along with an invariant column for National Net Promoter Score. In the rows, I'm going to add a type of accommodation and NPS over here, and I click on OK, and we get this chart and table. I'm going to change the colors. As for the chart type, I can change this to something more interesting, like a radar chart. And to simplify this table, I can remove the mean value, which isn't relevant in this case, and compare two departments. So I can compare this one with this one, and I can filter them. Lastly, we can analyze activities and type of accommodation. Display this as a table. So now I take NPS and drop it on add a measure. I can present different values such as NPS score or NPS distribution to see the percentage of detractors, passives, and promoters. Now instead of this, I can we can display it as a heat map, clicking on this. I can click on data labels to show the numbers too. And finally, we can enable filter analysis for all these charts to filter by gender or age. So I click on scenario, filter analysis for these charts and validate, and the same for this one, filter analysis and validate. So that's how you present Net Promoter Score on a report or dashboard.